Okay, we're not done yet. We got part 3 of the amendment of the Act. And here where it gets kind of creepy again, especially for people that have been put through hoax prosecutions with these hoax prosecutions of these anti-terrorist laws being abused by cops and the government. Part 3 amends the Canada Evidence Act to address the judicial balancing of interests when the disclosure, that's your case, that's why Kevin J. Johnson was only able to get one piece of paper, of information in legal proceedings would encroach on a specified public interest or be injurious to international relations or national defense or security. See, that's where they made you a terrorist with an entity, and then when they take you through a hoax prosecution, you don't get your 911 calls, you don't get your case, you don't get your Form 10. It's all done in secret, and it has to be done with the approval of who? The Attorney General of Canada or his deputy. And you can find that in the criminal code as well under 507.1 paragraph 11. Have fun. That's where you, if there's also just a regular 507 if you want to plead guilty for a lesser sentence without going through the rigmarole, like having a jury trial. That's where you want to plead guilty if you know you're a real criminal. But that's where they do it in secret, and they put it under 507.1 paragraph 11. Is that get you everywhere clause? Yeah, we know what that one's all about.
Fascinating.
So watch out for that. Now, the amendments impose obligations on parties to notify the Attorney General of Canada if they anticipate the disclosure of sensitive information or information, the disclosure of which could be injurious to international relations or national defense or security. And I believe I have the top crown, Mr. John Flaherty. What a sweetheart. I have him on the record saying I couldn't have full disclosure because of sensitive reasons. Well, talk about reading between the lines. Thank you, Mr. Flaherty. Now I know why you said the word sensitive at Old Toronto City Hall. And I couldn't figure out why it was so sensitive, because you declared me an entity. You had the consent of the Attorney General to put me through a secret hoax prosecution. I believe that's criminal conspiracy 465 paragraph B, when you try to unlawfully convict somebody of a crime they didn't commit, Mr. Flaherty. That's where we're going to be going with that one.
Matt, you want to know who the best is? That's him, Iceman. That's the way he flies, ice cold, no mistakes. Just wears you down, you get bored, frustrated, do something stupid, and he's got you.
Alright, now where am I again? International Relations, National Defense and Security, and they give the Attorney General the powers to assume carriage of a prosecution, there you go, and to prohibit the disclosure of information, hey, ask Kevin J. Johnson on that one, in connection with the proceeding for the purpose of protecting international relations or national defense or security. Pardon me. God, I can't believe they're doing this. Part 4 of Bill C-36 amends the Proceeds of Crime Money Laundering Act, which becomes the Proceeds of Crime Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Act. Well, I can prove they're doing that right now up here on Trails End. Purchasing these houses up here and putting their provocateurs. Yeah, and they're also breaking treaty too, Williams Treaty, by sticking Indians up here too. Take a look at Williams Treaty. Yeah, it includes the city of Porto Lakes, and especially for politics, that's not good.
I'm gonna need a beer to put these flames out. Go! It's great, Matt. Real slick.
The amendments will assist law enforcement and investigative agencies. Well, that's where CKR Global comes into effect. Yes, Canpro, King International, King Reed and Associates. You see, I said all those names. That's just one douchebag company. It's like changing their clothes. Yeah, they have a whole suite of services, as they put it. Yeah, I like that. How to shut people up. Yeah. Okay, back to this again. Investigative agencies in the detection and deterrence of the financing of terrorist activities, facilitate the investigation and prosecution of terrorist activity and financing offenses, and improves Canada's ability to cooperate internationally in the fight against terrorism. Oh, the fight against whistleblowers? I don't see that there. The fight against political candidates running in an election? I don't see that there either. So that's where they use these laws. They have them, folks. And they just apply them wherever they see fit because you don't know where to catch them on the law, and don't count on mainstream media helping you out in that one. They're too busy telling you campfire stories instead of getting to the real juice of things. Even rebel media should be getting into this since they brag about having a whole army of lawyers. Seems like they don't know too much. Okay, Part 5. Amends the Access to Information Act. Canadian Human Rights Act. That means you have no human rights, folks. When they make you an entity and do this stuff to you, your human rights are bye-bye. Canadian Security Intelligence Service Act. That means they can spy on you all over the place. Corrections and Conditional Release Act. Oh, that's where they do the incarceration on you and keep you in jail for a number of weeks without charge. There you go, folks. Federal Court Act. That's why we can't get heard at the federal court. We have Judge Kane throwing out the matter without the Julie Payette, the defendant, filing an answer. She's already in default. And we served them 1,000 pages of documents and over 100 videos proving our case, so they can't say it's vexus and frivolous or whatever they say in the rules. But we'll get back into that again. That's why you need to know what's going on here. The Firearms Act, that's where they take away your guns, folks. Yeah, if they make you an entity, they can say no guns. That's right, take away your guns. That's not good. National Defense Act, for sure. I can prove just under this law here now that Trudeau's aiding and abetting the enemy. That's right, Omar Khadr, convicted murderer and terrorist. And we can nail Trudeau there because under Bill C-36, if you look later on down there, we'll get into that later. I'll pull that up later in our next video or two. And I'll show that the federal government of Canada is not legally liable. That's right, Bill C-36 is an act. So when Omar Khadr sued Canada for $40 million, and Trudeau went and paid him $10.5 million, he could have put it in his answer. Sorry, the Canadian government's not legally liable because you're a murderer and you're a terrorist. And his case would have been smashed right there, legally. No wonder Trudeau lied to the Canadian people, said it was going to cost too much to fight the case. No, it wouldn't have. It would have been over in one motion hearing. Yeah, done. So there you go. Trudeau's getting nailed for that for sure.
Well, fascinating is a word I use for the unexpected.
Well, he's got a whole bunch of other things going there too. He might want to take off to France, kind of like King James II. I think it's his time. Personal information protection. That means all your freedom information requests go out the window. You don't get nothing. I wonder why that's happening. Electronic Documents Act. Privacy Act. Yeah, your privacy, invasion of privacy is also a criminal offense, folks. Yeah. They stomp on that too. Seize Property Management Act. Oh, I guess so. Okay. And United Nations Act. Okay, probably stomp on the UN Charter of Human Rights there too. The amendments to the National Defense Act clarify the powers of the Communications Security Establishment to combat terrorism, not to combat community watchdogs, not to combat political rivals, not to combat whistleblowers. So there you go, folks. That's when you harp on the judge. You read this out to the damn judge and use the word create offenses. Create. It's like Sesame Street in there. Yeah, bring the bloody word on your shirt. Wear it on your shirt, and don't bother dressing up for those people in there. They don't deserve it. They're a bunch of criminals in these courthouses. Yeah. Create offenses. Boy, that says conspiracy right there. Part 6 enacts the Charities Registration Security Information Act and amends the Income Tax Act in order to prevent those who support terrorist or relative activities from enjoying the tax privileges granted to registered charities.
Please, Spock, do me a favor, and don't say it's fascinating.
No. But it is interesting.